friends, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So new background. So I'm home. I got home like 2 days ago, and so far I've listened to my neighbor's kids screaming a lot, which like is a very common summer occurrence. And then our landscapers got into a fight outside of my window at 7:30 this morning, so it's good to be home, needless to say. I realized that in May, I think I got sort of a pretty major subscriber boost, so a lot of you guys might not have seen this background, but this is my apartment, this is where I usually film, so I'm home. It was good to see my parents. It's also nice to just be back in my own space. I'm sort of coming down the home stretch for my summer course, so I've been pretty busy and I just kind of needed to be back in my own space where I'm not without any distractions, because no matter how much I am enjoying my class, I still would prefer to be drinking coffee with my parents or having a beer with my dad and then doing schoolwork, and that is posing a problem. So I'm back home and yeah, it feels really good. It's nice to be back. It's a little weird getting things set up. It's been a hot minute, but anyway, so I'm doing my July shop my stash, and it's definitely gotten a lot more humid and a lot warmer here, so I'm definitely feeling more like I need to switch it up a little bit, really sort of lean into those like summer vibes. So that is what we are going to be doing today. So before I get into that, I hope you can't hear the landscapers. They're like putting in a garden or something, I don't know, outside. So I did close my window and I'm hoping none of that will pick up on my microphone, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But if you can't hear any like banging outside, you won't have to hear it for much longer because we're going to switch over to my drawers shortly. So to be honest, my makeup bag has been shuffled quite a bit since coming home, and so I kind of have forgotten a lot of what I put in it. So anyway, so let's talk about my recap. So the palette of the month that I picked was the Elf Earth and Ocean, which is this guy right here, and I didn't use this as much as I expected. Now, to be fair, and I feel like I've said this has been my caveat for the last couple of months for one reason or another, and so I just haven't worn as much makeup as I normally would. So the last couple of weeks I've either been prepping for field work or actually out in the field, so I haven't worn a ton of makeup. It's mostly been on the days where I haven't been out, and sometimes not even then. So this didn't get reached for as much as I'd hoped. So I'm kind of weighing possibly keeping it in for this next month too, and then just picking out something else. So having two palettes of the month, because I feel like I didn't get as much of a chance to play with this as I had initially intended on. The last couple of weeks of the month especially really flew by, so I kind of just didn't end up reaching for this as much as I had hoped to, and so I would like to give this a little bit more love. It is really beautiful. I think you just need like a good primer for it. And obviously, if you've been keeping up with my project pan, I've been trying to pan the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil, and so I've been using that as a base, and you definitely need, like, at least for my eyelids, you definitely need like a legitimate eyeshadow primer for this. So I think that sort of influenced how I feel about things, but I did actually wear the shade Siren and Abyss as an eye look the other day, so these two right here. And then I ruined it by putting on a lipstick that was like way too pink, and it was full 80s and not quite the vibe that I was going for, but the eyeshadow look on its own I really enjoyed. And then I've also worn some of like the neutrals over here. I think I pulled into like Desert Storm and Mojave Mommy as like transition shades for some grungy neutrals, but I haven't reached for this as much as I had sort of intended on, and so that I was kind of disappointed in myself, because even though I know that there is some of the shades in this palette you do kind of need to know how to work with or prep your eyes for, I do actually love the color story, and this always has me feeling so inspired to use it, so I think we might leave this in. The one thing that I did actually use a lot that I surprised myself with was the KVD Alchemist palette. I wore the Sapphire a couple of times as a face highlighter, which, little alien, I like it. My parents were weirded out by it, but that's okay. And then I've also worn Green Emerald as the highlighter. Most times I use my Pan That palette, I will usually include Green Emerald as an inner corner or face highlight. And then I've also been using Ultraviolet and Pink Opal as inner corner highlights a lot. I'm actually not wearing Ultraviolet on my inner corner today, although I certainly could have missed that opportunity. And then I did wear a Melts Honey Thief as a blush quite often. And then other than that, I think we kept it fairly Project Pan focused, and I ended up really trying to lean into a lot of my Project Pan items. I've been really trying to make more progress on my highlighter and my blush specifically, so I wore ColourPop Super Shock in between the sheets. Like most of the times I wore blush over the last month, it's been that blush. And then I also did wear, I think I pulled in my Fenty Beauty Killawatt in Metal Moon, and I did wear that a couple times. I've discovered that that is a lot more popping when you layer it over either a cream product or like a slightly tacky base. And now that I am a lot more glowy because it's humid enough that my skin has decided to be normal instead of dry, I find it does show up a little bit more, so I definitely did wear that a couple of times. And then I also ended up purchasing a couple of new lip products at the end of the month, and so I did sort of try those out a little bit. So that's kind of like the recap. Honestly, I can't really remember what I pulled because my makeup bag got shuffled quite a bit in terms of like coming home and stuff, but I know that I was very Project Pan leaning, at least for like my face, and then I ended up wearing my Pan Those eyeshadows more than my palette of the month, so hopefully next month will be different. My eyelid seems to have, hopefully fingers crossed, like completely cleared up, so I'm hoping I'll be able to get back to more eye makeup wearing because it is something that I really enjoy. So anyway, so that is sort of the ramble on what we were using last month and how that went. I feel like I say this every month, I'm like, I should use these things more, but I think once I finish up a couple of the items in my Project Pan, a few things that I really would like to have out of my collection, I think I'll be able to like get a little bit more variety and actually use things. But I've been leaning pretty hard into trying to finish my blush and my highlighter. So anyway, so I am going to spare you my rambling and I am going to flip you over to my drawer, and you'll probably notice some changes in terms of some categories that have expanded. So I'm going to flip you over to my drawer and we will pick out some new items for July. Hey friends, welcome to my drawer. So it's been so long that I've done this that I've evidently forgotten how to set up my camera. So we're going to be one-handing this. I'm going to be picking out some stuff for July. If you've been here before, you know that I like to start off with my palette of the month. So last month obviously was the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean, and I think I kind of want to stick with the Earth and Ocean because I didn't use this a ton. I think I used it like 3 times maybe, and one of those was just reaching for like one of these shades up here as a transition. So I kind of think I want to keep this as my palette of the month for July. Also, I think I'm also going to be bringing in the Natasha Denona Sunrise. So this guy right here. This was what I intended on being my July palette, so I think I'm also going to do that. So I think we're going to have 2 palettes of the month for this month. I didn't wear a ton of makeup the latter half of June just because I was doing field work or prepping for field work, so I feel like Earth and Ocean didn't quite get the love that I'd hoped for, so I think we're gonna do both of those, and I feel like that gives me a good variety of things to play around with. So one thing that I know for sure that I want to bring in for this month would be the Milk Cream Gel Liner in Burnish. I don't think I can open this one-handed, no I can't, but it's this sort of reddish brown color, and I have really been enjoying using this with pretty much anything warm tone, so I've been wearing it with the Sunrise palette a lot, so I'm definitely going to be pulling that in. And then I think for highlights, obviously some things have changed, but for highlights I think I'm going to keep in my Fenty. I haven't used this one a ton, but I found that this actually, despite being kind of underwhelming on its own, the Fenty Killawatt highlighter in the shade Metal Moon actually picks up really nicely over creams or a more tacky base, shall I say, which it's been warm here, so for some reason this now picks up a lot more nicely on my skin. I think I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say oily, but a little bit less dry, so this is picking up better, so I think we're going to bring this in too. And then I also have been kind of just trying to lean into my Project Pan highlighter because I really would like to finish that up sooner rather than later, so I think we're just going to, I don't know why I put that back. Clearly I haven't done this in a few months, so I don't know why I put that down, but I'm going to be keeping Fenty Beauty highlighter in Metal Moon, and I think that's going to be my only highlighter for the month because I feel like with my Project Pan highlighter, I feel like that's enough. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to grab Flexitarian too. I have been trying to remember to use this one more, and I think if I'm still keeping in the, I can't even remember if I brought this in last month or not, but I think if I'm keeping in Earth and Oceans, this is one of my top picks to pair with the blues, so I think I'm going to grab this one as well. Oh, I also forgot, I actually bought a bronzer. So I have the Milani Silky Matte in the shade 01. This is Sunlight, so this is their lightest shade. This is really nice. It's very olive friendly and it's very blendable and easy to build up. So I'm going to be grabbing for this. And so moving on to blushes, I think the first one that I knew I wanted to grab for was my bronzer. So this is by Bare Minerals in the shade Kiss of Copper. These were new a couple months ago, but I did pick one up about a month or so ago and I've really been enjoying it. Super pigmented, but it's nice. These are gorgeous. I've really been enjoying this and I feel like it definitely fits the summer vibes. And then another blush that I actually really like with the Sunrise palette is also by Bare Minerals, and so it's the Gen Nude in You Have Me at Merlot. This works really well with some of the reds, which I've been getting more into, so I feel like this will be really nice to have in as well. And then I think 2 blushes is good for now because I've, again, really been trying to finish my Project Pan blush, so I feel like that is definitely sufficient. And then obviously for lips, we have some options. As you may have noticed, we got a few more in here. So I think one of the ones that I know I want to grab for is this CoverGirl Outlast in the shade Universal Nude. This is kind of like a My Lips But Better shade for me, so I definitely want to bring this in. This will work well with more pinks, I think, in the Sunrise palette. And then I think I also want to grab for my NYX lip lingerie in the shade Seduction. This is sort of Lolita-esque, like it's in that family, and so I think this will work for looks that are more nude or peachy. And I think that's probably everything that I need for lips right now. Actually, you know what? I also want to grab a red. I haven't played with my KVD liquid lipstick in the shade Outlaw for a while, and I feel like now would be a good time. So I think that is pretty much going to conclude my Shop My Stash for, what is this, July? Or it'll be July, most likely by the time you guys see this. So this is sort of what I'm working with. I feel like we're definitely leaning into the peach, orange, warm summer vibes. It's supposed to rain here for like the next week, but we're going to ignore that. This has been my Shop My Stash. So what are you picking for the summer? Let me know. If you haven't already subscribed and you want to see more Project Panning content and Shop My Stashes, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one. Bye!